Thank you, guys. All right, have a seat. Thank you. Well, I'm excited to be here, and you heard some great information from Orrin Woodward earlier. Wasn't that powerful stuff? How many your brain is like just wishing you could retain all of that? And if there were just a way you could hear that more often, and of course there is. You can subscribe to different subscriptions that we have that allow that information to come in on a regular basis. And so the reason we had Orrin give that talk is just to give you a little Scooby snack of the kind of information that you can have on a regular basis. And that is the foundation of what we do. And a lot of times at this point I would give a talk and pretty much spend an hour with you going through from top to bottom how the business part of this works. Because what you saw Orrin do was deliver some of the product. Our product is life-changing information. Information that if you apply it to your life will improve. Now, it takes you have to have the information and you put the two together, and it makes a good mix. And so you kind of share in that, and then people like Orrin create this information, you put the two together, and it produces these great results. Well, there are a lot of us that think that's a great idea. And so there's a business around that you can pour your energies into, and you can represent that type of information like you saw Orrin deliver, and there's actually a lot of money in that. Now, let me kind of show you. A lot of times I'd go through this whole thing, but tonight I don't feel like it. So we're going to... And we're doing a whole different format anyway, so they're going to let me get away with murder. But let me show you a little bit, just so you'll know. And somebody told me that you can ride on this thing. Yeah, very good. All right. All right, so is this in your way? Can you guys see? Now can you? Perfect. All right. All right, very good. So what I want to show you is just a couple snippets so you'll have an idea, especially if you're brand new with us. I want to give you at least a little bit of an idea of what this is and how it works and how you can prosper through it financially. Now, obviously, this information will help you in all categories of your life. That's what it's designed to do. And you can pick which categories you'd like to drill down further into and make a focus of. But when it comes to the business aspect of what we do, kind of the best way to describe it is that we're between four trends or between four industries. Now, there's an author named Franz Johansson that wrote a book. And one point that I got from the book, the whole rest of the book, really, I didn't get that much. But this one point was really huge. And he talked about there's two types of innovation. One type of innovation is where you take something and improve it, and then take it and improve it, and take it and improve it. And that's called directional innovation. And you've heard of this kind of thing, continuous improvement, quality improvement, these kind of things. But the other type of innovation is called intersectional innovation. And this is where you go to the intersection of two trends that really aren't that related. You find the space in between something that's never been done before. And by combining those things, you come up with something new. The other day, I was at a fair. The North Carolina State Fair happens right in my hometown. And so I went. And my little kids, they're loving it, And I heard this music like I'd never heard before. And it was country rap. I don't even know if you can imagine such a thing. But I loved it. I mean, I told Terry, I said, this is great. I mean, he's talking about my pickup truck. And I mean, it was really, really. A lot of rap, they got the four-letter words in there and everywhere and everything, Just take the swearing out and put you all in there. I mean, it was great. And not everybody's going to have that kind of appreciation, but it was a combination of two things that had never been combined before, as far as I know. And that's innovative. I don't know who the dude was that was doing it. He probably had a cowboy hat on and his pants pulled down to his thighs. A little combination, Now I've offended everybody. Everybody mad at me now. All right, so it's a combination of something that's never been done before. Well, the author of that particular book I was going through, he gives a lot more, politically correct, understandable trends that people combine worked out great. Well, we don't have just two, we have four. And I want to go through these just really quickly. The first one is the personal development, leadership, or self-help category. Now, we don't even know, we give it three names because we don't know what name to give it, but this is This is a huge industry. It's $400 to $450 billion. It's around the world. It's a big industry. And there's really good stuff in there, and then there's some kind of strange stuff in there. And you know what I'm talking about. You can go watch late night infomercials tonight, and you can see a little bit of what I'm talking about. People with big teeth and enormous hands will do karate chops and tell you to pinch yourself here, and you can go to a happy place in your head. You know, and they'll give it scientific terminology to make it sound legit. And something in your hogwash meter is going off. You know, just you know what I'm talking about. But they keep smiling and they keep laying it on thicker and thicker. And after a while, you're getting out your credit card and the phone. And so there's a little wedge of this that's a little quirky. We're going to leave that behind. But there are some really good things here. Our best-selling books come from here. Oren's leadership material, the kind of stuff he just shared a little bit from his latest Resolve book, that kind of stuff lives in here. So there's some really good stuff in here. So we're going to take the good, throw out the bad, not throw out the baby with the bathwater, and we're going to take the pieces that really make sense there and have caused this industry to be so big. That's one of the trends. Another one is networking. Now this one, the slice of strangeness is a bigger slice in that one. And you've all heard of networking. You had people join these different things and they're going to get rich in 5 minutes and they quit in 4. And I used to think those were such a scam. People get in those to just delude themselves into thinking that they're going to make it somehow. They don't have a chance, right? And they're just going to get slaughtered and fleeced by some company. And it's kind of true in a lot of cases. But there are some legitimate good things here, like being in business for yourself and going at your own speed and a pay plan that's totally fair and pays upon performance and doesn't discriminate and doesn't even ask who your daddy is, much less care who your daddy is or if you even have a daddy. And so there's some really good pieces to this that should be made right. And so we're going to take those good pieces and chuck, as my 6-year-old son uses the word chuck for everything. You chuck stuff at it, Dad. So we're going to chuck the rest. And then there's life coaching, and this is the concept. Again, there's some wacko stuff in there, but the concept is that it's good to have a mentor. It's good to have an accountability partner. It's good to have someone on the outside looking in to help you identify blind spots and to keep you on track and to hold you accountable for the goals that you make and you profess to this person. So there is something to coaching. Even the best, the top performers have coaches for what they do. And so there's something really good here. We'll leave the quirky behind. And the final one is community building. This isn't even an industry necessarily. Can you listen this fast? By the way, are you all right? All right, good. So the community industry is really just a natural human facet. We are built to be in relationship. We are relationship-forming creatures. It doesn't matter what you do, and we also divide too. Any group of people you mix together, they'll hook up, kinda, but they'll hook up against somebody else. Right? It'll be these against those, and those against these, and the nose pickers against the nail biters, and they'll be, they'll divide out, right? But we're meant to be in relation, and so there's something to this community thing. The only thing is, we're so connected now. We're so interconnected. We got our smartphones and our iPads, and we got all this. We're so connected, and everybody's talking, and ain't nobody listening. And so they got to come up with something like Facebook, where you think those are your friends. And someone gets mad and they unfriend you. And they put the word unfriend in the dictionary now. Webster's over there in his grave rolling over like, oh. You get a flat tire on the way home tonight, just go whip out your laptop and get on Facebook. Hey, I'm on 696, I need some help. See if you don't starve to death in your car waiting. But because everybody feels this need to connect, there's something to that. And so we're gonna take the natural, what's right about community, and we might do a digital aspect to this at some point. But the biggest part is true community, true relationships, the bonding that makes life special, that enriches the days of our lives. And so what we do is we've launched a company at the middle of those 4 trends. Does that make sense? At least a little bit at a 30,000-foot view, right? So that's what we do. Somebody says, what is your business? Well, it's called life. What's it all about? Well, we're in a position between 4 major trends where we're able to take the good, leave the bad in each case, and blend it into something new. Like country rap, for instance. Except we're four things, which would be like country, rap, dance, waltz. Anybody's musical in here, I'd like to see you put that together for me. So, all right, so that's the big picture. As opposed to doing this. Now, I'm going to steal this from a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. He's a famous author. He's done all these great things. But this is his best book, I think. And, whose opinion matters but mine. I get the microphone. And it's called the Cash Flow Quadrant. And in here, he talks about the 4 ways that people make money. Now, missing from this are several significant methods of accumulating wealth. First of which is being born wealthy. Platinum spoon in your mouth, trust fund baby, helicopter takes you wherever you need to go, you never fly commercial, you don't even know what a grocery store is. How many of those are in here? They're never here. You know why they're never here at our meetings? Because they're in therapy. That's true. All right, so none of you are that, so we'll put that to the side. I can tease them like crazy because they're never here. All right. Sometimes their lawyers are, those. I'll stop. The next one is gold digging. Who's single? Raise your hand if you're single. Now, there's 2 reasons to play along with my little thing. Some of you are more single than others. I did my hair. Now, when I ask who's single, you're supposed to raise your hand to play along with my talk. But if you're smart, you look around, pick out some other singles too, right? If you don't know some of these things, it might be why you're single. All right, raise singles. Where are you? Hey, gold digging still works. It can get you to the presidency. It worked for Washington. It worked for the father of our country. Can't be all that bad, right? Everybody gets old and ugly. Might as well be rich, right? Now, I'm not giving a love seminar. I'd be a lot more tender. And besides that, I blew this one. I married a broke chick. And she married a broke guy. We married for love, pooled our poverty, found out how big the debt hole was, and oh my goodness. Then we had to find out we really loved each other because we didn't have anything else, right? We found out that fighting was free. All right. But there are 4 other ways. Kiyosaki talks about employee, self-employed, B-type business owner, and investor. And on the left side, he says it's about 95% of the people. It's about 5% of the wealth, which means I'm from North Carolina now. It's all y'all. Pretty much all y'all. And the arrangement over here is you trade time for dollars. I was an engineer, and they told me if I got degrees, I could make more money, and so I got these degrees. And so the goal was I'd trade my time for their income, and they'd pay me a nice little salary, at least what I thought was a nice little salary, and that was the deal. Now, self-employed, same thing, and I've always admired those of you that are self-employed, except it takes some risk. You step out on your own, you're going to be your own woman, going to be your own man, going to hang out your own shingle, whatever that means. Going to be in business for yourself, fantastic, and then it's feast or famine, and the S sometimes means stress, right, or sad, or scared. And the problem is, on this side, they teach you that it's all about you. It's about becoming indispensable at what you do. It's all about you. Well, it's not. Not really. I didn't want to be indispensable. Now, when it comes to being Terry's husband, in my personal opinion, she might differ on this point, but in my opinion, she has the requirement for exactly 1.0 man units. Me, right? I'll fill that role 100%. Indispensable. When it comes time to being the daddy to my 4 little brown-eyed, well, they're not little anymore. One of them's tall as me, but 4 brown-eyed kids, indispensable. And the only dad, Lord willing, the only daddy they'll ever need. When it comes time to making my money, I'm not so sure I want to be indispensable. You know what I'm talking about? The government can print the amount of money. The average person that walked into this room tonight is going to make about $1.5 million in his or her life. $1.5 million. If you work full-time, your whole life, $1.5 million. The government can print that. They can actually create it. They don't even have to print it. They just hit a little keystroke. They can create that amount of money as long as it takes to press 1 computer key. Does that bother you? I don't care how you vote. That should bother you a little bit like, trade my whole life for something they can make. Beep. So you probably, if you think this through, you probably really don't want to be indispensable when it comes time to earning your money. I didn't want to be indispensable when it came time to earn my money because there's a lot of times I don't feel like earning money. Sometimes I feel like driving my Jeep around town and racing Corvettes and beating them and stuff. There's times when I feel like being in Italy and walking through an old castle. I don't always feel like earning my money. Are you the same? However, I can't think of a single time in my life when I haven't felt like receiving money. And if you think through this, yeah, well, that means you'd like to be dispensable when it comes to earning your money, and that's what we teach people to do. And to do that, we take them from the left side to the right side. The left side is what we'll call carrying buckets. You get paid for delivering the water. You work for someone else who has the contract, or if you don't have the contract yourself, to carry your own buckets. But on the other side, they do something differently. On the other side, it's not about what you do, it's about what a system does. The people who truly get wealthy have systematic wealth coming in. It's not based on a one-to-one exchange of the days of their lives. It's based on leverage, on finding a way to leverage their efforts. Certainly, it's them in the beginning. But to work towards something that at least over time becomes less and less about you and more about systematic wealth. That's the big picture. That's the pipe dream, no pun intended, because over here we build a pipeline income, which means you establish a pipeline, the water flows, and long term you get paid for what you did in the shorter term. That's how this works. This is what we teach people to do. We find people over here like I was, teach them to hop the bar, work from self-effort and self-improvement to systematic success in a B-type business. Now, I stands for investing. We won't go into that because I'm only qualified to tell you what won't work, which is just about everything I've ever tried there. Someday I'll give a seminar on what not to invest in. It'll be about 3 hours long. But I can tell you this one thing works really well. Do you realize you only have to get it right once in your life to really make it? You just got to catch it right once. And if you're smart enough to stick with that once, you can only have come to one proper alignment of stuff once, and you can have a pretty decent lifestyle. That's what's happened here. There are a whole bunch of things that I wasn't good at, but there was one that really worked, and we've just kept at it. And it just piles higher and deeper and gets fatter and wider and thicker and better, and it's more fun all the time because I get to help more people do it and get to help others, and that's the big picture of what we do. We're between four trends. We help people build pipeline, ongoing income, and that's the big picture of what we do. Our product is information, and the purpose of that information is to change lives. We have different categories this information lives in. We call it the 8 F's. There's faith, family, finances, fitness, following, friendship, freedom, and fun. And you can dig in on any one of those. How many know someone who needs growth in at least one of those areas? Raise your hand. You know somebody that out of those 8 F's, they need at least one, right? How many know someone that needs 2 of those F's? How many know people that need 22 of them? All right? See, it can be a smorgasbord. You can dig in your area of greatest need. But we have material to round out that whole thing, and there's a whole bunch of great things coming down the pike. But I want to shift gears a little bit, though, and go into some of the mindset of what it takes to actually build a business, leveraging this information into people's lives. You see, there's different mindsets that are required for success. And to do this one properly, you have to learn to think systematically. As a matter of fact, Orrin has a whole chapter in his Resolve book that he was teaching out of tonight that talks about systematic thinking. And a lot of times we don't have that naturally, and you kind of have to learn it. And I want to go through the systematic way that you can build wealth for yourself doing this, sharing great information with people who are looking. Now, there are only 3 ways companies can make more money. Only 3. The first way is to lower costs. And this is something that every company looks at all the time. At our own office, that we have objectives and goals. We had a meeting there today, and they had a big board up, and they had their goal, and then they had year to date where they were, and happy to report they were ahead of their goal. They were hitting their goal, and it was a cost control based goal where they're trying to drive down cost, eliminate wasteful spending, and be good stewards of the revenue that comes through their hands. But you can only do that so far. Employees tend to like to get paid. Suppliers tend to like to get reimbursed for the supplies. And so you can only take that a certain distance, right? The second way companies can make money is to raise prices. But I can refer you to economics books that are this thick that will let you know that really the salesperson or the company doesn't set prices. The customer base sets the prices. The competitive market truly dictates what prices the market will bear. And if you try to go beyond it, you're just not going to sell stuff. And so you can't do that much about raising prices. The market's going to set that. So you're bound a little bit on both of those, which leaves the final way, just the third of three. Easy for me to say. And the third one is to grow, to do more of what you do, to get bigger. As a matter of fact, if you talk to most professional investors, one of the things they will advise, and it may even be at the top of their list, like Warren Buffett says, is look for something called projected earnings growth, which basically says if you're analyzing a company and it doesn't have a plan to grow by which they can project a growth in earnings, that they don't even deserve your consideration as a place to invest your money. So we are doing that exact thing. We are growing. We have a growth strategy. The purpose of what we do here today, the second meeting to teach you how to build a business doing this, is to help grow the business. And the way we do that is by expanding. And the way we expand, we're not going to advertise in the want ads in the paper. We're not going to be on LinkedIn talking about a great opportunity. We're not going to be on monster.com taking applications. This grows strictly by word of mouth. And there's only one person who should attempt to apply here. And if it's not you, you've got the person that invited you fooled, because this is who we told to invite. Here's the combination. This is the only person this applies to. It's not for everybody. This is the only person this fits. And it's four things that make up that person. Number one, ambitious, because not everybody is. Think about where you work. Now, if you're here with a coworker, act all offended. Oh, no, he All right, number two, looking for something more, because not everybody is. Right? My wife had a brain surgery in the fall of 2008, very significantly serious. And I like to think of that surgeon going to bed the night before kind of fired up about cutting her head open. I can be crass because it all went good, praise God, right? Everything's fine. But I don't like to think of him going to bed the night before talking to his wife, oh, honey, I gotta cut open another skull in the morning. If I have to see one more brain tumor, I'm going to puke. Like, I don't really want a surgeon that's looking for something else. I want him looking for the tumor, if you know what I'm saying, right? So not everybody is looking, and that's true. About 80% of people are looking. About 20% are doing exactly what God built them to do. Fantastic. So ambitious, looking. Number three, teachable, because not everybody is. Think about your in-laws. You just had Thanksgiving, didn't you? You know why they call it Thanksgiving? Because you give thanks on the way out of there. You only have to see them a couple times a year, you know? All right, number four, honest. You have to have integrity. It's a people business. And if you're a shyster, a scammer, a quick buck artist, if you're a pathological liar, go get help. Don't join here. You won't make it. It'll just be painful for you and mostly for us. You need help. So, and people will sniff you out and they'll know you're a phony baloney. So what we're looking for, ambitious, looking, teachable, and honest. And every time we find that combination, as long as I don't offend them, which is a possibility, then they get involved with us. And so that's who we're looking for. So why are we talking word of mouth to people? Because we're expanding, like all real good companies do. And how do we expand? Word of mouth. And who do we expand to? People like you who are ambitious, looking, teachable, and honest. And if you're not that, just sit quiet, because you fooled the person that invited you. All right? They're not going to waste, especially after my little speech, they're not going to waste their time inviting somebody to this that isn't that description. And you can't get in here unless you got an invite from someone that thinks you're that. So congratulations, as Orrin said, for coming to check it out tonight.